Welcome, Nikolas, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Are, this new album Supplition, and more things related to the metal world in general. So we started by asking, how are you doing today? How is the band during the last 6 years? Yes, during the last 6 years, because your previous album, Rise of Empire, was released in 2019.
Well, it was harsh years for us, and I have to say for all. Our album, as you say, was released in 2019. It was one of the worst periods to release the album because we promoted on the very first month of
Mhm.
2020, and so of course there were bigger problems of music, but COVID-19 stopped us all, stop our promotion, stop everything, and we have to wait more or less 2 years to play Rise of the Empire. So it has been a dark moment for the band, and we also had a lineup change during those years. So another stop, another hiatus. And more or less around 2022, we decided to continue the promoting of Rise of the Empire, but especially we want to write a new album to restart again our
Mhm.
uh, our playing.
Okay, okay. So, and you mentioned about the band has passed for a different lineup changes. And when do you decide to record this new album? So this suppletion, when the process, or when the sorry for this, when the written start process start for this new album, are all the songs new, or do you rescue any composition that left out for the previous one?
No, is everything is new. I started to write the concept of suppletion with some tips about the sound during 2021. We were stopped at home during the pandemic, and I don't know what to do. So I stuck at home and I decided to write some concept, and I think that I thought that suppletion will be the better one to restart again. I proposed it to Fabius, say that I think that the band need a more violent, a more harsh, a more raw album with a different sound from Carthago, the Landaista, and the Rise of the Empire. And so during the 2022-2023, Fabius start to write the new songs, and little by little we build up Suppletion.
Mm, okay, okay. Well, so one thing that always captured my attention is why do you decide to call the band ADE? So it's a abbreviation from something, but when I try to read more information about the band, you relate it all the time with the focuses on the origin of the Roman Empire, all this kind of topic. But for you, what is the exactly meaning that ADE has for in general?
Okay, this is a question uh, they have thousands of times because Ade actually is the Greek underworld. The
Mhm.
Latin underworld is Averno. This is or Avernus, and so this is something that belongs to the old formation. This is a story they told me. At the very first beginning, the band played had had the Latin and Greek concept too. So they have both stories, Greek and Roman. And
Mhm.
after that, they decide to talk only about Roman history,
Mhm.
and but
Mhm.
they thought that Ade was a cool name, and I think that is a cool name too. So they decide um, to keep the Greek name, even if we are not talking about Greek history. But I have to say that Greek and Roman tales, myth, and legends are practically the same. They got the same gods, even if with different names. Much characters are in common, so this is not out of sense, and
Mhm.
that's how it is.
Okay, okay. Bueno, in this kind of well, in this kind of topics, checking here, you have this is your fifth album in your career since your previous album. Because I hear the band with Spartacus with the first album at that time in like the end of 2000s. So then, so for mostly all musicians thinks that the last album is the best work to date. So if it is situation is for Ade, is this new album is the best work to date, or and for this one, for you, what is the motive or reason that this album it is the best work to date for Ade?
You asking me if I think that is the best worker, Suppletion?
Mhm. Correct.
I don't know. I think that each and every album for a band is best for one reason or another reason. Uh, we have to wait what reviews gonna say about Suppletion. If people think that Suppletion is the best album, I am glad to hear it. But I don't know if it is the best album. I have to say I can say that it's different. It's pretty different from our last two albums, and there are similarities with Spartacus, but actually I don't know if it is the best album. I can say that it is the the most death metal album. We decide to put aside the folk part, okay, the folk side of our style in exchange for death metal. That was the meaning goal, the main goal for this new album. We want to put death metal on stage. But actually, I can't say if it is the best album we will see in the next years.
Mm. Okay, that's one curious thing that you said about with this new album. You left in general, you left the folk parts into this new one because when I hear the first time, I remember, especially Spartacus, I remember that you included some folk elements, but not as the usual folk elements like other bands like play folk metals, no place like the so death metal with some instruments of the for the folk scene. So in this case, what so you mentioned one thing that with Suppletion you return back to old times with more organic way, more brutal, more this kind of things. So and in this topic, also I try to relate the music from Ade with a lot of bands that appears in the ends of 2000s. A lot of bands appears at the end of 2000 with the great sound in Italy. So do you think now the death metal or the brutal death metal in Italy has their own sound compared to the another parts of the world?
I don't think that we can say that Italy got a specific death metal sound, just like Swedish death metal, for
Mhm,
example, uh, or melodic death metal.
mhm,
I think that Italy has a great performance with great variations. I
mhm,
can name The Evangelic, I can name Flesh God Apocalypse, I can name Eidos Divinity, and this is just the three bands that firstly came in my mind, and they are totally different, and that's I think that's a great thing because when there's a pattern that everyone decide to follow, um, they're going to crush each
mhm,
other. um, and I think that the best thing of our scene of Italian scene is that everyone has his own inspirations, have
mhm,
has his own sound, and like us, we have our unique style. Like it or not, we have our style, and that's how it is. We have great artists, we have great musicians, but everyone uh, everyone does what they like to do.
Okay, okay. Now, now, other topic that captured my attention is that the bands in during the well, this more the promotion about this one. So because Rise of the Empire, it was released when the pandemic started at that time. So now we are beyond of this pandemic ended. So how do you compare the promotional for Rise of the Empire compared to the Supplicio now that we are beyond of the pandemic?
Um, mm, you ask me if there's difference in promotion.
Correct.
Well, probably during Rise of the Empire, we're still hitting the national venues. So the first date or promotion were all in Italy,
Mhm,
and this time we want to hit more European stages. Not because something really changed in Italy. For there's good or bad things in Italy for death metal scene that they're really not changed before and after the pandemic.
mhm.
We just realized that we have great
Mhm,
bands, but not so great stages. So the fact to play in Europe for us is a is a great thing. We can show our music to a bigger crowd in bigger events, playing with bigger bands. That's the main difference.
Mm. Okay, okay. So now, what kind of plans do you have for this new album, for Supplition and for the band? What like tours you releasing videos, or perhaps you will embark and some, or perhaps you are recording, you are so perhaps you already are recording a new album. Who knows? What kind of plans do you have for Ade and this new album in general?
Well, for this new album, uh, already unleashed the official video for one of our singles out. That is Venom.
Mhm.
They can check on YouTube, of course. And we have some gigs already scheduled, like Tech That Fest in the 13th of June, if I remember well, and or our first date in our hometown, Rome, in the 18th of April. Yeah, I'm bad with dates, sorry.
Mhm.
And many others gigs are we're waiting for confirmations, but I think for now we're gonna play at least a couple of times for month. And we got an official video, we got new outfits, we got new stuff to put on stage. So we invest a lot for this album. And I think that for 2025, we are all focused on play Suppletion the best we can. And probably the next year we're gonna talk to release something else like a single. For a new LP, I think we have to wait 2 or 3 years. But I have to say we have some ideas, generic ideas, nothing specific. But yeah, we got something in the oven.
Mhm. And now, so as you can see now, let's change the topic about this one. So and let's take a look about a little more. Let's talk about a little more about this suppletion. So how do you relate old concept from suppletion, especially for the lyrics with the music of the band? And now because you said this new album doesn't have more folk influence into the music or the instruments for this one. So how do you relate the concept with the cover art, with the music in general for this album? How do you relate everything?
Well, well, we we decided to. The starting point was do something different from the past. We want to express something different. We want to offer to our fans something that's never been released before. And I especially I start to I listened back again to all the albums that other released since then, and I realized that each and every album, Premio Sanguine, Spartacus, Cartago dell'Enda Est, The Rise of the Empire, they talk always talk about a specific event like Panic Wars for the Cartago dell'Enda Est, or the of the origin of Rome for the very first album, or the revolution of Spartacus, the revolt, sorry, of Spartacus. Um, Instead, I want to embrace all Roman history for Supplicium. I was searching, specifically searching for the most vile, violent, and a horrid thing that for real happened in all Roman history, without talking about a specific character or a specific time range. Um, and actually, I discovered stuff for 3 or 4 albums, so I have to make a selection. And this thing is directly connected to the music. So I have a more bloody concept, and
Mhm.
which means that I need a bloodier
Mhm.
music. So we still have folk instruments. We also have a folk side, but um, is well dosed. We do not have songs with big folk parts. Okay, like in Rise of the Empire, it's still present, but just a little. And the concept is violent. Everything is violent, and so we have to talk about the artwork. And when we talk about the artwork, we decide to take a look at the previous artwork. They were too probably too epic, um, uh, and we didn't like the fact they were too much digital. Okay, so we decided to make a proof, and we use this ancient vase-like graphic, and I think it's great. Personally, I think it's great, and
Mhm.
we decided to change all the cards in the table, just to renew our project, and I think it's a great work.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Now you said one thing. You said one thing about now the music right now. As you can see now, especially into the extreme music, there's a lot of better musicians. There is a lot of better productions. Now it's not like the 80s or 90s when you hear like music. It's like you when you have 5 records at that moment. Three sounds great, two no sounds great, and that's normal because it is the 90s or the 80s or the 90s into the extreme music. But now, all this, if you have 50 records per weekend, you have these 50 records per weekend sounds amazing. Sounds great musicians, no errors, etc. etc. So, what is your opinion about now the standardization of the sound, especially in the extreme music? Because there's no bad records, there's no bad musicians, there's no nothing.
But actually, you say they're more or
Mhm.
less all the same.
Mhm.
Am I right? You're saying that?
Correct.
Well, I think the same thing too. I'm on your side, and probably it's a self-defensive mode, because it's really difficult to mix up so much extreme sounds. We have a lot of drum, we have a lot of riffing, and so it's really difficult to express all this huge amount of music and make it hearable, okay, listenable. And probably so, just like I said, this is a self-defensive mode. If a product is good in terms of sound, in sound engineering, um, probably it's safer to follow this pattern, which doesn't mean that we have to play the same kind of music. So it's true. especially metal, not only in extreme metal, but I can say even in power metal. There's a lot of bands who talks about the same stuff, who play the same stuff. There's
Mhm.
just little difference, but there's not the fantasy. There's not the variations of the past. The more we move on, the more the sounds became similar. This is sad, in my opinion. I think the same thing, but
Mhm.
I don't know what is the solution of it.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So, and with this topic, that as you can see now, by end of the week, we have 1,000 of releases. We have thousand, like, well, not thousand. Let's see. Let's put a number. We have 50 releases per weekend. That's so for us. We are working as a media. It's very impossible to catch up all these 50 or 60 releases per weekend. So some people, some musicians think that this is good for the scene because the scene is healthy, that have more releases per weekend. But for another people say that it's not good because you have many releases, you don't have the time to hear these all these releases. And for you, what's your opinion about these overwhelming releases per weekend each weekend?
It's true. It's become easier
Mhm,
to write music. We have programs that did it for
mhm,
us. It's easy to produce it, to release it.
mhm,
And I think that should be useful, more meritocracy, which
mhm,
means that okay, it's hard to listen all this stuff, but I think that the 75, 80% of all the stuff, I don't want to say that it's shit because it's not true, but
mhm,
is just like we say before, is repetitive, is the same stuff. For one band, for just one band, they made it. There's tens of bands that follow that band or those couple of bands wishing to have the same luck,
mhm,
okay? Because there's also luck in game, not
mhm,
only technique. And of course, artists and musicians do their work. Should be the people. The people should choose who's the best, who's deserved to move on. When I started in the first years of 2000 to play music, there was a lot, a lot of bad reviews. So if you release an EP or LP, whatever,
mhm,
and your work is not worthy, okay? Um, Reviewers and people mm, doesn't do not mind to crush you if they need.
mhm,
Even bigger bands are crushed by reviews, and this is not what happen nowadays. I see reviews that if a product
mhm,
is nothing is average, they give 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I don't think it's not fair. So
mhm,
just like in soccer, okay, if
mhm,
you're a good player, you're gonna play in a good team, and you're gonna be famous. You're gonna be richer. You're gonna play Champions League or else. But
mhm,
if you're an average soccer player, and it doesn't mean that you not allowed to play soccer, but you're really not in the major league. Okay.
okay.
So I think that's mm, what misses is the critique. That's the
Mm.
problem, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. So now talking about this topic, oh, we are close to this interview, Nicolas. And for this, um, how do you take it? You talk about the reviews, the opinions for the people in the social media, etc. So how do you take the reviews? How do you take the bad, good reviews in the band? Do you read reviews about the albums, or perhaps you are reading now reviews for this new album, the upcoming reviews? So how do you take these all the reviews, everything about this?
Yes, I like to read reviews of my works and other works because I love to hear opinions from others because like we say in Italy, for a mother, there's nothing best than her son. So I may think that my album is the greatest. I may think that, but it's not true. It's not the reality. It's my emotion,
Mhm.
okay, that are inside my opinion. So I may be not objective in my critique. I'm very objective in what I uh, for example, I critiqued my something that I did in Rise of the Empire. I talked to Fabius. I say I
Mhm.
think we need to do something different, and that's why we built up Supplicum, starting
Mhm.
from our critique. Um, so when I read reviews, some reviews are how can I say are superficial. They say, huge drumming, huge vocals, huge everything, but they're not talking really about the album. Just like the guy who make the review listen for one or two tracks,
Mhm.
no more. It's easy to discover it because it's very generic. Okay, they write stuff that is generic. Other reviews instead are specific. They take song for
Mhm.
song and and just like they made a review for each song and then made a global review for the entire opera.
Mhm.
And that's our the opinion that I listen to. I think that opinions are important. Is the main thing that allows you to perform better, to grow up better, to
Mhm.
create better music.
Mm. Okay. Well, Nicholas, we arrived at the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoy this one like me. This new album's a great one. Congratulations on this new suppletion. I hope, this is a great one. So perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and yet obviously Methalarium followers?
Latin American fans, so we never played in South America, but I perfectly know your heat, your energy, and it's one of my dreams to play in South America, and it will be really great to do that. I hope to do first as possible. And of course, I thank you for this interview. It was a nice chat and a really great interview because we talk
Mhm.
about important things. And
Mhm.
what can I say, guys? Really hope to see you soon on stage.